You're watching JD's Variety Channel. Okay, so here's a quick look at the 1856 Flying Eagle cent that just sold for a tick over $22,000. And what a beautiful coin this is. There she is, graded Proof 64 by PCGS. Just lots of luster on this coin, an absolute beauty. So let's go ahead and take a quick look at the reverse right there. Stunning coin, and a look at it in the slab. And the main reason this coin is so valuable is just because of the low mintage. It's estimated that only about 2,000 of these were produced between the business and the proof strikes, so there's not many of them to go around. I'd love to find one metal detecting, but I just don't think that's going to happen. So now that you took a look at this beautiful rare coin, now let's go ahead and get right into the coin tutorial. Alrighty, so let's get up close and personal with some Indian head and Flying Eagle cents. Now naturally I don't have an 1856, they're worth a lot of money, especially in good condition as you saw. But I do have the other 2 years that they were made. They were only made for 3 years. 1856, 1857, and 1858. Here's a close look at an 1857, which unfortunately has some bad scratches on it. And I call these pennies just because everybody knows them as pennies, but to be politically correct, they are 1 cent coins. I can go into it on another video on what a penny actually is. But in the United States, we only have cents. We don't have pennies. But there's an 1857. Now I have two 1858s in front of you because I wanted to show two different varieties. Neither is particularly rare. I can't remember which one is worth a little bit more. But right here you have two 1858s, and by the way, one in nice condition like this one would be worth about $25. Whereas one with a couple nasty scratches like that, probably about 15. But let's take a look at this one here. I'll just give you a look at the back to show you it's the same as the 1857. And can anybody notice a difference on these two coins without me telling you? So go ahead and pause the video if you need to. Alrighty, so if you notice that the letters are bigger on this coin, you are correct. This is the large letters variety, and this one here is the small letters variety. And pretty much the best way to tell, if you can't really tell if they're large or small, because it takes a while to get used to comparing them, but on the large letters, the base of the A and the M in America are touching. They're kind of joined at the bottom there, and on the small letters, they are completely separated and not touching. So that's the easiest way to tell if you have the large letters or small letters variety. Now I wanted to show, going into the Indian head pennies, and well, in 1859 they started making Indian head pennies, but from 1859 until 1864 the Indian head pennies were made out of the same material as the Flying Eagle cents, which you can see if you compare them to a later Indian head penny, or I should say a newer one, 1889 there, you can tell that they look a lot more white. And that's because they have some nickel in them. They're made out of 88% copper and 12% nickel. Whereas the post 1864 Indian head cents, and some of them in 1864, it was a transition year, they were made out of 95% copper and 5% like zinc and tin, so they're technically bronze. But to give you an that's why they look a little bit more white, and to show you they're a lot thicker too, the Flying Eagles in the early Indian heads compared to the newer ones. And they definitely have much of a whiter look to them. So what I'm going to do here to show you guys the difference in composition is actually I'm going to do an air test with my Fisher F44 metal detector to show you the difference, to show you that this type of Indian head rings up differently than the Flying Eagles and the early Indians. So let's get it set up and I'll show you the test. Okay, so I finally got us all set up here in a way where this is actually easy to show. So I got the Fisher F44 here, so let's go ahead and boot it on. Okay, and I already have the settings changed to turn the sensitivity down because there's a lot of metal inside a house and it just kept wanting to go off. So I have here some of the Flying Eagles and Indian heads. This Indian head penny I found metal detecting. I just dug that up recently. I've never found a Flying Eagle, so I have to use one that I had in my collection. But I just wanted to do a corroded Indian head versus a clean one just to see if there's any difference. You can see that the back of this one is in terrible condition. But basically what I'm trying to show here is that the higher the number that registers in on the detector, it means the more conductive it is. And copper is more conductive than nickel, so that these Indian head pennies here on the right side should ring up a higher number than the copper nickel Indian heads and Flying Eagles. So I'm going to go ahead and scan them over the coil. I won't be able to see what happens on the screen, but you guys will be able to. So let me go ahead and get the camera set up here, and I'll go ahead and run them over. So the first one we're going to try out is the Flying Eagle scent. I turned my sensitivity way down so it doesn't pick up anything else. Likes to hit 45, right in the mid-40s range. So let's go over and swap it out for the 1863 Indian head, which is made out of the same material. I assume it will ring up about the same. Similar reading into the mid-40s. Now we're going to switch over to the bronze Indian head penny, which is 1889. You can see much higher reading in the mid-50s. It jumped by about 10 numbers there. And out of curiosity, we'll try the corroded Indian head penny that is also bronze, which I assume will ring up about the same as the last one. It's got a lot of crud on it, that could be part of it. But it seems like it's ringing up a tiny bit lower. So that's pretty interesting. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to subscribe for more. My next adventure is always just around the corner. Take care, and happy treasure hunting.